I used to take 6 grams of cocaine a day. How to overcome any addiction. Imagine hearing those words from someone sitting across the table, looking you straight in the eye. 6 grams of cocaine every single day. For most people, it sounds impossible. For others, it's a nightmare, but here's the truth. No matter how deep the hole is, there's always a way out. Before we go further, I want you to pause for a second. If you're here because you're fighting your own battle, or because you love someone who is, know this, you are not alone. And if you want more videos like this, raw, honest, and practical, make sure you subscribe to the channel right now. That way, you won't miss the tools, the stories, and the hope you need to keep moving forward. Now, let's return to the man who confessed he used to take 6 grams of cocaine a day. He's not saying this to shock you. He's saying it because he wants you to see something important. Even in the darkest pit, change is possible. The invisible chains of addiction. Addiction isn't about willpower. It isn't about being weak. That's one of the biggest misconceptions that keeps people trapped. Addiction is about wiring. It's about how the brain learns to chase pleasure and avoid pain, until the very thing that promises relief becomes the prison itself. Think about it like this. Your brain has a reward system designed to help you survive. When you eat, when you connect with others, when you achieve something, dopamine gives you that hit of satisfaction. But drugs, alcohol, gambling, even scrolling endlessly on social media, they hijack that system. They give you a dopamine flood so powerful that your brain begins to crave it again and again. Over time, natural joys no longer feel enough. Your brain adapts, and suddenly, normal life feels flat, boring, unbearable. The only way to feel alive is to return to the substance or behavior that's destroying you. That's why the man could take 6 grams a day. His body wasn't screaming, "Too much." It was whispering, "Not enough." And that's what makes addiction one of the most dangerous traps humanity faces. The slippery beginning. No one wakes up and says, "I want to be an addict." It starts innocently. A night out, a drink to calm the nerves, a pill to take the edge off, a little white powder at a party. And because nothing terrible happens right away, the brain learns, this works. Stress goes down. Confidence goes up. Life feels easier. But here's the trick addiction plays. The short-term relief blinds you to the long-term destruction. What starts as a solution becomes a problem. The glass of wine after work becomes a bottle. The casino trip becomes a weekly ritual. The line of cocaine becomes 6 grams a day. And the worst part? By the time you realize the trap, the chains are already locked tight. Why it's so hard to stop? People often ask, if you know it's destroying you, why don't you just quit? Here's why. Addiction doesn't live in logic. It lives in emotion. It lives in the subconscious. Addiction rewires the brain so that quitting feels like death. Imagine your brain screaming, "If you don't give me this, I won't survive." That's why people relapse. That's why cold turkey feels impossible. It's not weakness, it's biology, but biology can change. The same brain that learned to crave can learn to heal. And this is where the story begins to shift. The turning point. The man who confessed his 6 grams a day didn't just wake up one morning, cured. It started with pain. Rock bottom is different for everyone. For some, it's losing a job. For others, it's losing a family. For many, it's looking in the mirror one day and not recognizing the face staring back. For him, it was a combination of everything. Health collapsing. Relationships destroyed. A soul that felt empty. And yet inside that pain was a tiny spark. The thought, maybe there's another way. That spark is where recovery begins. But here's the truth you need to understand. You don't need to wait for rock bottom to start. You don't need to lose everything. The earlier you recognize the signs, the faster you can reclaim your life. Breaking the silence. One of the strongest weapons addiction has is shame. Shame keeps people quiet. It tells you, don't admit it. Don't tell anyone. They'll judge you. They'll reject you. But silence is the cage. Speaking it aloud is the key. That's why support groups, therapy, or even confiding in a trusted friend are so powerful. The moment you say, I need help, you take back control from the addiction. You stop letting it define you. And here's where you need to hear this. If you're listening right now and you feel that shame, remember you're not the first, and you won't be the last. Every person who's recovered started by speaking up. The science of recovery. So, how do you actually overcome addiction? Let's get real here. It's not magic. It's not a motivational slogan. It's a process. Step 1 is detox. Your body has to break free from the chemical dependence. This stage can be brutal. It feels like your brain is screaming for oxygen. Withdrawal symptoms range from irritability to shaking to full body illness. But this stage is temporary. It's your body recalibrating. Step 2 is rewiring the brain. Remember, addiction hijacks dopamine. So recovery means teaching your brain to find joy in healthy ways again. Exercise, connection, creativity, purpose, all of these begin to rebuild the natural reward system. At first, it feels empty. Nothing compares to the high. But over time, the brain heals. What was once flat becomes colorful again. Step 3 is building new patterns. Addiction thrives on triggers, places, people, routines that lead you back to the substance or behavior. Changing your environment, cutting off toxic connections, and building new habits are non-negotiable. And step 4, the most overlooked, is meaning. People who beat addiction don't just stop something destructive. They start something meaningful. They discover a purpose bigger than themselves. Without that, recovery feels like a void. With it, recovery feels like freedom. Midway check-in. I want you to take a breath right now. What you've heard so far might feel heavy. That's okay. Addiction is heavy. But I also want you to feel something else. Hope. Because every step we just talked about is possible. It's been done by millions of people before you. And it can be done by you, too. If this is connecting with you, if you're starting to see a path forward, do me a favor. Hit the like button. Share this video with someone who needs it, and stay tuned. Because in the next part of this journey, we're going to dive even deeper into the practical tools and mindset shifts that make recovery not just possible, but sustainable. Now, let's continue. From darkness to discipline. Recovery isn't just about avoiding a substance. It's about rebuilding yourself. Discipline is one of the hardest things to relearn. When you're addicted, the substance decides your schedule. It tells you when to wake up, when to sleep, when to feel good, when to crash. Taking back your life means taking back that control. Simple routines become powerful weapons. Waking up at the same time each day. Eating real meals. Exercising, even when you don't feel like it. Journaling. These aren't just healthy habits. They're ways of telling your brain, I'm in charge now. At first, it feels robotic, pointless, but give it time. Structure becomes stability, and stability becomes strength. Relationships and recovery. No one recovers alone. You can try. Many have. But the truth is, isolation feeds relapse. Connection feeds recovery. Think of it this way. Addiction thrives in the dark. Recovery thrives in the light of community. Surrounding yourself with people who support your healing isn't optional, it's essential. That doesn't mean everyone will understand. Some friends may disappear. Some family may not know how to help. But there will be others, people who've been there, people who refuse to give up on you. Find them. Hold on to them. And if you can't find them in your immediate circle, seek them in groups, in meetings, in online communities. Recovery communities exist for a reason. They remind you that you're not crazy, you're not broken, And you're not alone. Hope in the hard days. Here's the reality. Recovery isn't a straight line. There will be days you feel strong and days you feel weak. There will be moments you think, I've got this, and moments you think, I can't do this anymore. That's normal. That's part of the process. The man who once took 6 grams a day didn't stop overnight. He stumbled. He fell. But he kept standing back up. That's the difference. Recovery isn't about never falling. It's about never giving up. And I want you to remember this. Every craving you resist makes you stronger. Every day you choose freedom instead of chains is a victory. Even if it feels small, it's progress. And progress is what builds a new life. When we left off, we talked about the reality of relapse, the power of community, and the courage it takes to stand back up after falling. That was the foundation. Now we go further. Because recovery isn't just about breaking free from something. It's about creating a life so meaningful, so fulfilling, that going back no longer feels like an option. The mindset shift that changes everything. One of the most powerful shifts in recovery comes when you stop asking, how do I quit? And start asking, how do I live? The first question keeps you focused on what you're losing. The second focuses you on what you're gaining. Think about it. If your whole identity becomes the person trying not to drink, or the person trying not to use, you're stuck orbiting the very thing you're trying to escape. But when you ask, what kind of person do I want to become? You start building forward momentum. This is why many addiction experts emphasize identity. If you see yourself as an addict fighting every day, you're carrying the weight of that label. But if you begin to see yourself as a builder, a creator, a parent, an athlete, an artist, your actions slowly align with that vision. Identity shapes behavior. And the more you act in line with a new identity, the weaker the old one becomes. The power of replacement. Nature hates a vacuum. You can't just strip something away and leave an empty space. If you do, the craving will eventually come back to fill it. That's why successful recovery isn't about subtraction alone. It's about replacement. Replace the high with exercise. Replace the bottle with conversations. Replace the destructive escape with a constructive passion. It may not feel the same at first. In fact, it won't. But over time, your brain begins to link new habits with new rewards. And slowly, the grip of the old addiction loosens. Ask yourself right now, what could I replace my destructive pattern with? What's one healthy habit, even if it feels small, that I could practice daily? That's the seed. Plant it, water it, protect it. Over time, it will grow roots. Facing triggers head-on. No matter who you are, you'll face triggers. A certain street, a certain friend, a certain smell, a certain song. Triggers are reminders that pull your mind back into old patterns. Pretending they don't exist won't help. You have to face them head-on. Here's a strategy many in recovery use. The if-then plan. Write down your biggest triggers. Then write down what you'll do if they show up. For example, if I walk past the old bar, then I'll call a friend immediately. If I feel the urge late at night, then I'll journal for 15 minutes before deciding anything. If I'm invited to a place where I know temptation will be strong, then I'll say no, and instead do something uplifting with someone I trust. This simple preparation takes power away from the trigger. Instead of reacting blindly, you respond intentionally. The role of forgiveness. Addiction leaves scars on you and on the people around you. And one of the hardest parts of recovery isn't detox or cravings or even discipline. It's forgiveness. You may feel guilt over lost years, broken trust, damaged health. The weight of that guilt can be crushing. But here's the truth. Guilt can either bury you or it can teach you. The choice is yours. Forgiveness isn't about pretending it never happened. It's about saying, yes, it happened. But I refuse to let it define the rest of my life. Forgiving yourself is the only way to step fully into your new identity. And what about others? Some will forgive quickly. Others may take years. Some may never fully forgive. That's their journey. What matters is that you keep showing up, day after day, proving with your actions that you are not the person you once were. Trust is rebuilt over time, not in words but in consistency. Building a future worth protecting. The strongest recoveries are built on futures worth protecting. When you wake up every morning with a mission, temptation loses its shine. Ask yourself, what's the future I want to build? Is it a career that excites me? A family I can love fully? A body that's strong and healthy? A mind that's clear? A community I can serve? Write it down. Make it vivid. And then every time the old craving whispers, remind yourself, this isn't just about saying no. It's about saying yes to the life I'm building. The science of habits. Let's talk about the mechanics of habit change. Research shows that habits follow a loop. Cue gives craving, gives response, gives reward. Addiction hijacks this loop with destructive responses. Recovery means rewiring the loop. You can't always erase the cue, but you can change the response. For example, cue, stress from work. Old response, drink or use. New response, take a walk, call a supportive friend, practice breathing exercises. Reward, feeling calmer, in control, and proud of yourself. At first, the new reward feels weaker. But with repetition, your brain rewires. And one day, the new response feels natural, while the old one feels distant. This is why patience is critical. Habits don't transform overnight, but every repetition carves a new pathway in your brain. And eventually, those new pathways become highways. Relapse is not the end. Here's something you need to know. Relapse doesn't mean failure. It means feedback. It means you discovered a weakness in your system, a trigger you weren't prepared for, or a pattern you still need to strengthen. The people who succeed long-term aren't the ones who never stumble. They're the ones who learn from each stumble and keep moving forward. So if you relapse, don't drown in shame. Instead, ask, what can I learn? What do I need to change next time? Then get back on the path. Community and contribution. One of the most powerful ways to stay free from addiction is to help others who are struggling. It sounds paradoxical. You'd think you need to be fully healed first. But many people find that supporting others actually strengthens their own recovery. Why? Because contribution gives meaning. It reminds you of how far you've come. It makes your pain purposeful. Whether it's volunteering, mentoring, or simply sharing your story, helping others anchors your own healing. And beyond that, community keeps you accountable. Alone, it's easy to justify slipping back. Surrounded by others, you're reminded that your choices don't just affect you, they inspire or discourage those watching your journey. The final transformation. When you've walked through the fire of addiction and come out the other side, you're not the same person anymore. You're stronger. You're wiser. You're proof that change is possible. The man who once said, "I used to take 6 grams of cocaine a day," now says, "I help others break free." That's the transformation. Not just escape from destruction, but building a legacy of healing. And that's what's waiting for you too, if you've made it this far. It means something inside you is ready for change or ready to help someone else. Don't let that spark fade. Subscribe to this channel right now for more tools, stories, and strategies to keep moving forward. Share this video with someone who needs hope. And leave a comment below. Let us know your thoughts, your story, or even just one word, hope. Because recovery isn't just about one person. It's about all of us together. Choosing life over chains, freedom over fear, hope over despair. And remember this. No matter how deep the hole feels, there's always a way out. Always. This is not the end of your story. This is the beginning.